Good morning YouTube. This is going to be a quick vlog today, I think, because as you can see it's raining. I mean, it might just be a shower, but it's predicted to rain today, and no surprise really, we're getting it. What a miserable day. So yeah, the good news today is I've done 317 miles YouTube, and that has run the bike in, so I'm quite pleased about that. I haven't been out on it for a few days because of the weather really. This is British summertime and we've had quite a lot of rain. So what I wanted to vlog about today YouTube was due diligence, which basically just means checking stuff out a bit and not taking things as advertised at face value. And I'll give you an example. So recently I've been thinking about maybe getting a drone, another drone. I've had one before and I lost it. It was only a little Hubsan one. Basically the battery conked and it just got blown into the bushes and I couldn't find it. But I don't suppose I'm unusual in that regard. That was some time ago. And I quite like aerial photography. So I was looking again at the drones, and DJI have got a new one out called the Spark. So, and it's advertised on John Lewis, Argos, PC World, Maplins, all those kind of places on their websites. And when I started looking into it, mainly by watching YouTube reviews and things like that, but it quickly became fairly clear that the advertised top speed that people were saying it was capable of was only available with the controller, which a lot of these places weren't selling in that package. They were selling just the drone, which you use to fly with your phone or by hand gestures. So you wouldn't get the high speed mode that's only available with the controller. But still they said it would do 31 mile an hour, which it won't unless you've got the controller. And then there's also claims about range, how far will it fly and this sort of thing, and that's quite important for a drone. Well, in America, I didn't fancy doing an emergency stop there. They're subject to FAA regulations, and the drone knows where it is from the GPS satellite data. In Europe, it's subject to CEE regulations, and that puts it on reduced power. So whilst it'll do 2 kilometers or 1.2 miles in America at a higher power setting that's allowed under American air regulations, at the lower power setting that's allowed under European air regulations, it'll only do about 300 meters, which is a big difference really to the claimed range of 2 kilometers, you know, or 1.2 miles. And that, you know, it brought me back to this due diligence thing again. A lot of websites, you know, a lot of these businesses, they're reputable sellers in that, but they just lift the info from the manufacturer, they stick it on their website, and they don't check really that it'll do what they're claiming it will do, and that's illegal in Britain, but they do it anyway, because it's called mis-selling. You know, you're basically making claims for products that are not true. So it's important to do due diligence. I mean, I was kind of thinking, well, only sort of half thinking about getting a drone, and I was sort of looking at the toss-up between the Mavic and the Spark, because you've got to remember that with a drone, and I know this having lost one before, that it's a sacrificial disposable item really. You could leave it in a tree, it could drop in a lake, and even if you have the DJI insurance, unless you can actually retrieve the drone, you can't send it back and get a replacement. And you know, for an inexperienced flyer like I'd probably classify myself as, getting it stuck up a tree somewhere or in a lake is probably highly probable. And then really it's, what's the write-off cost of that? Well, for a Mavic with enough batteries to fly, to get footage, so the fly more pack, you're talking, I don't know, around 1,400 quid, £1.5 grand nearly. And for the Spark it's 700 quid to get the fly more pack that's got the controller that'll give you at least 300 meters, you know. And that's the other thing as well, DJI have decided that the dollar and the pound are equivalent, which they're not. So all the dollar prices in America are just translated directly into pounds as a 1-for-1 exchange rate. So we're actually paying a lot more for a drone that will do a lot less in the UK because of the European air regulations. So that was a little bit on due diligence really, and it does affect the decision whether to buy one of these or not really, because obviously the more negatives that pile up against it, then the less inclined I am to bother really. And I guess like I'm like a lot of other people, but the point is that the information on the websites is generally misleading, and you know, that's still supposed to be illegal in this country, but you know, obviously with the internet, then a lot of things are getting stretched. So do some due diligence if you're thinking of buying something, because it quite likely will not have anywhere near the claimed performance criteria. And I was watching some about people who lost theirs as well, and yeah, there are some things you can do to try and find it again, but even the trackers, you know, that's become like an expensive business. Although there are some, you know, one bloke had found some pretty cheap trackers that would do the job quite reasonably. But again, as soon as it was in a ditch, the active detection area collapses massively down to about 25 meters, I think, which, you know, depending how far away you've lost it, you could have no idea where it is really. 25 metres, I'm thinking of somewhere like up Cannock Chase, you know, is not a very good coverage area really. If it stuck up a tree, then it gave a better reading, you know, it was around about 100 metres, a bit more. But you know, it's something else that, I mean, they do have things built in, DJI do, to help you try and find your drone, but obviously if it's in a lake or up a tree, it's not always recoverable. And those things only work if there's any battery life left, I think, you know, for it to bleep and give some indication of where it is. So I think, you know, it's a lot of money for something that's easily lost really, and as far as the Spark's concerned, has a much lower performance in the UK than it does in America. Yeah. In terms of range, and so that was it, YouTube. That was a bit of a vlog on due diligence. Let me know what you think in the comments. Cheers now, bye.